hope my voice holds up. Well, first of all, I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming. It's very heartening to see so many people who are interested in what's going on in Canada and the United States and the world and the cosmos. And I'm very pleased that you have come. It's very humbling, but it is at the same time a real opportunity to spread information that I think is essential for the good of all of us, our American friends, ourselves, and the world at this particular time when things are not going well. So this is my 15th and final book. I said it, and I think I mean it. And I'm going to take about 15 minutes to tell you everything that's in the book so that you won't have to buy one. That's just kidding. I hope you'll buy two, one for yourself and one for somebody else, maybe as a Christmas present. But this book is in really 2 or 3 parts. The first 15 chapters cover my early years and my political career. And when I did my first draft of this, it took up about 60 minutes. And I had decided and advertised 15 to 20. And so I've eliminated nearly all of it, but it's in the book. And my present one is about 20 minutes, but Sandra wants me to cut it to 15, and I'm going to time myself and see how close I come. But I was born just a little more than 95 years ago on a farm about 90 miles west of Toronto. And it was a ginseng farm. My father pioneered the ginseng business in Canada. And so in the first chapter I tell you a bit about ginseng and its history, and I think you'll enjoy that. Well, then I go on to talk about going to school for a while and not being a particularly good student. And then at age 17, when my family was having dinner one night, I announced that I'd like to go to California to go to aeronautical school. And there was sort of a stunned silence. About 3 weeks later, I was on my way. So I spent some time in California studying aeronautical engineering because there was no aeronautical engineering school in Canada at that time. But in my book, I level with people and say that the other motive was that I had a crush on Deanna Durbin, a beautiful songstress, movie star, and I thought if I could get out there, maybe I could find her or talk to her. It didn't quite work out that way. I met a few stars, but she wasn't one of them. And so I worked hard, and I actually got decent grades out there. Learned to fly at the end. And would you believe I was flying solo down the San Fernando Valley the day of Pearl Harbor. And I won't extend this story too long, but I came in for a landing, and there was a guy waving a flag like crazy, and I didn't know what it meant. Nobody had ever told me, so I did a circuit and came back, and he was even waving it more. And about the 3rd time, I was getting low on gas, so I decided to land. And he bawled, "You know what," out of me. Because why didn't you land at once? Well, I didn't know that's what the signal was. And then he, of course, explained that the Japanese had attacked Pearl Harbor. And so while I was out there too, I also went to the local church and saw a beautiful girl in the choir, and found out that she was interested in spending some time with me. And before I left, I had actually asked her to marry me. And so most of this is disclosed in the book. There are a few things left out for good reason. And I came back, and got in touch with the Deputy Minister of Air, as it was then, they were separated, in Ottawa, and asked where I should serve best, in the Air Force or in engineering. He said engineering by all means, because we're short of engineers. So I, for a couple of years, helped build a basic trainer for the RCAF at Fort Erie, Ontario. And at the end of that time, I was getting restless, and they decided to switch over to Lancaster Wings. So I thought this was my chance to move on to the Royal Canadian Air Force. When I went through selection wing, there were 300 of us in the wing, and there were only 3 of us who were chosen for pilot. We were among the 27 that didn't get on course because Bomber Harris had overstated his casualties, and so the Canadian government decided to demobilize 4,500 of us. And I was sent to Toronto, and it took 9 weeks to do what could have been done in 9 days, or maybe 3. But they were so inefficient, you wouldn't even believe it. And finally, I got my discharge. But in the meantime, I was able to visit the active service canteen on Adelaide Street. And do you all know what the game is of Paul Jones, when you go around in circles and you're supposed to dance with a girl that winds up next to you? Well, I was doing that with the rest of the crowd, and somehow or other, it was a blonde on the other side of the room, and I wound up dancing together. And we had different stories as to how that actually happened. She had hers, I had mine. The result was the same. We got into a religious discussion, and I drove her home. I think the fact that I had a car was a big plus. You wouldn't believe the irony of where I drove her to, but in the book you'll find it. And you would say to yourself, if I didn't know that Heather was an honest man, I'd say that's total fiction. It wasn't, it actually happened. And 6 months later, even though both of us had been engaged to other people, we got married in Toronto. And she turned out to be a wonderful girl, a wonderful woman who put up with me for 59 years. And despite a lot of difficulties in my political life. So she died in 2004, and fortunately I had left political life. When I say political life, I had left partisan political life before that, which pleased her immensely. And I have never been a member of a political party since, simply because the issues I am talking about are not partisan issues. They're people issues. They're the future of our country and of our globe and of our species. And you can't take that kind of an issue and say it is a red issue or a blue issue. Incidentally, the colors are the opposite in the United States than what we have in Canada, which is not too surprising. But it just needs full attention by somebody who is objective and who wants to tell the truth. Well, the following, she died in 2004, and the following year, 2005, I proposed to the widow of my best friend ever, who was Bill Bussiere, and his wife Sandra is sitting right over there, and she has been my wife now for 13 years. And I think she's found me almost as difficult as my first wife did. But we're still here, and we've accomplished some things together, and I just appreciate her. She is a wonderful woman, and thank you, Sandra, for sticking with me and for supporting me in all of my undertakings. It's really very deeply appreciated. So, it just happened that that was the end of an era and the beginning of a new one. And there would have been an era, end of an era and the beginning of a new one under normal circumstances, but something else happened. And that is that a young man from Ottawa, Pierre Junot, had been sending me information on UFOs. And I said, Pierre, I haven't got time to read them, which was the truth. And, but he said, is it okay to send them? And you can just put them on a shelf for a rainy day if it ever comes. And I said, sure. He asked me to watch a 2-hour special on ABC that, where I saw a lot of former United States Air Force pilots and civil pilots and policemen and air traffic controllers say that they had seen UFOs. And I said to myself, well, why would they lie? Why would they go on the air and lie about it? And I'm sure that they didn't, that they were telling the truth. It made an impression on me. But in any event, he had sent me a book called The Day After Roswell. And I had said that would be good summer reading at our place in Muskoka. But when in 2004 I went to look for it, I couldn't find it. So I read The Life of Pi instead. And got to the end before I really knew that it was fiction for sure. So in 2005, I was looking for another book, and I couldn't find it. But there, staring me in the face, was The Day After Roswell. So I took it, and I said, this will be great. I got about halfway through, and I said, this is real. Because I recognized the names of the generals and the airfields from my days in national defense. And I also came to the conclusion, by the time I finished, that this was not only real, it was important. That the people, the American people, were totally in the dark. They had absolutely no idea what was going on in their own country.